Wait, did Blake Lively just snub Taylor Swift? I mean, weren't they besties? What happened? Hey, ever feel like celebrity friendships are more dramatic than a Netflix show? Yeah, same. And today, we're talking about one of those friendships that fans are suddenly questioning: Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. They were super close. So why does it seem like Blake is leaving Taylor out while promoting her business? Let's break it all down. And trust me, the reason might surprise you. First, let's go back a bit. Taylor and Blake weren't just friendly. They were friendship goals. We saw them at parties, sharing inside jokes, and even supporting each other online. Taylor even used Blake's daughter's name in a song. That's how close they were. And when Taylor dropped her Midnight's album, Blake was right there, cheering her on. Public support all the way. But lately, something feels off. Blake's been busy promoting her new brand, Betty Buzz, a non-alcoholic drink line. Big campaign, lots of buzz, lots of media. But guess who's not mentioned at all? Yep, Taylor. Not even a small shout out. No social media tags. Nothing. And that's what got fans talking. People online started wondering, why would Blake completely leave out Taylor? Some think she's trying to distance herself. Others believe there might have been some drama after Taylor's massive Eras tour. But let's not jump to conclusions. Is it really a snub, or just smart business? Here's something interesting. Branding experts have chimed in, and they say this move might actually make sense. One PR expert explained that it's common for celebrities to promote their business separately, even from close friends. Why? So the product can shine on its own. Why Blake Lively doesn't use Taylor Swift to promote Betty Buzz? Smart move, or something more? Let's take a moment to really think about this. If Blake Lively constantly used her best friend Taylor Swift's name to promote her brand, wouldn't people eventually start to think she's just riding the coattails of Taylor's massive global fame? It might come off as opportunistic. And the truth is, Blake doesn't need to do that. Blake Lively is already a well-known figure in her own right. From her breakout role in Gossip Girl to becoming a fashion icon and a beloved Hollywood actress, she's carved her own space in the industry. So when she launched her sparkling beverage brand, Betty Buzz, she made a pretty bold and calculated decision. She kept Taylor's name out of it. Not because there's any drama, at least none that we know of, but because she's building something that can stand on its own. That's a power move. Here's a little insider tip that marketing pros know all too well. When launching a brand, especially a personal or lifestyle brand, going low-key and keeping things personal can actually be way more effective than splashing celebrity names all over it. Why? Because today's audience is smart. They're looking for authenticity. They want to trust the face behind the brand. And when someone is constantly throwing in big names to sell something, it can feel forced or inauthentic. Blake seems to understand that. She's not playing the obvious card. Instead, she's slowly building brand recognition by letting Betty Buzz speak for itself, through subtle lifestyle content, aesthetic social media posts, and small-scale campaigns. It's a slow burn approach, but it's often the kind that lasts the longest. Think about brands like Glossier or Aesop. They didn't blow up overnight because of massive endorsements. They built trust. And that's what Blake appears to be doing. Let's also not forget the reality of Taylor Swift's schedule. She's not exactly twiddling her thumbs. In fact, Taylor's been everywhere, touring the world with her record-shattering Eras tour, releasing new music, directing her own music videos, and even dipping her toes into filmmaking. She's managing a global brand that extends beyond just music. So maybe Blake, being a good friend, didn't even want to ask Taylor to be part of a business campaign during such a hectic time. It could have felt like an added burden, and that's just not how real friendship works. Plus, knowing Taylor, she'd probably support Blake privately in any way she could. But public endorsements? They take planning, contracts, and management. It's not as simple as a shout-out or repost on Instagram, especially at the level these two operate. Now, here's something that many people miss. Betty Buzz has been slowly gaining momentum in the background. Not with flashy commercials or celebrity-packed launch parties, but with well-thought-out lifestyle content. Blake shares aesthetic images, home-style videos, and subtle nods to the brand in everyday settings. It's not a hard sell. It's soft, elegant, and deliberate. It appeals to a specific kind of audience, people who like thoughtful branding, quality ingredients, and personality-driven products. And let's be real, just because Taylor's name isn't plastered all over the brand doesn't mean she's not supportive. In fact, it might show an even deeper level of respect between the two friends. Blake wants Betty Buzz to succeed because of what it is, not because of who she knows. Think about it. How many times have we seen celebrity brands flop after a huge, over-the-top launch with tons of hype? Hype fades. But consistency, trust, and quality, those stick around. And that's exactly what Blake seems to be playing for, the long game. Of course, fans being fans, theories always pop up. Some people wonder, is there tension between Taylor and Blake? Is that why Taylor hasn't promoted Betty Buzz? But honestly, not every silence is shady. Sometimes, it's just smart strategy. Also, let's not forget, Blake and Taylor's friendship has stood the test of time. From cozy holidays together to birthday shout-outs, and even Blake's kids' names being used in Taylor's songs. There's a lot of history and mutual admiration there. It's highly unlikely that there's any kind of drama. If anything, it's a sign of two strong women choosing to support each other in ways that aren't always visible to the public eye. It also opens up a bigger conversation about how women support each other in business. Support doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's quiet encouragement, a phone call behind the scenes, or just not asking your friend to do something that doesn't align with her current focus. That kind of thoughtful friendship is just as powerful, maybe even more so, than a public endorsement. Now let's take a step back. If we look at this from a purely strategic marketing lens, it makes perfect sense. Blake is creating a clean brand narrative. Betty Buzz is her vision, her taste, her aesthetic. Attaching it too closely to Taylor's name would shift the perception and dilute the message. By doing it this way, Blake retains full control over the brand's identity. She's not borrowing someone else's spotlight. She's creating her own dot. That's not to say a Taylor Swift endorsement wouldn't boost sales overnight. It absolutely would. Let's not kid ourselves. If Taylor posted a single Instagram story with a bottle of Betty Buzz in her hand, or casually mentioned it in an interview, it would probably go viral in seconds. Sales would spike, headlines would fly, and the internet would be buzzing, pun intended. But here's the deeper question we need to ask. Would that kind of sudden exposure actually help build a strong long-term brand? Or would it just create a temporary wave of hype that fades the moment the attention moves elsewhere? Because here's what often happens. When a product is heavily associated with a single celebrity, even a massive one like Taylor, it risks becoming only about that celebrity. People might stop paying attention to the quality of the product itself and just see it as an extension of Taylor's empire. That could undermine Blake's vision. And let's be honest, Blake Lively isn't someone who's ever played it safe or followed a crowd. She's meticulous, creative, thoughtful. If she's not asking Taylor to promote Betty Buzz, it's likely very intentional. And it might also be a statement in itself. Maybe Blake wants to prove that a woman can build something from the ground up, something stylish, sophisticated, and sustainable, without leaning on someone else's fame, even if that someone happens to be her insanely popular best friend. So now we've arrived at the big question. And it's the one we really want to hear your thoughts on. Is this all just smart marketing? Is Blake Lively showing us how to build a modern brand with subtlety, class, and authenticity, without the glitz of A-list endorsements? Is this about long-term vision and slow growth rather than viral moments? Or do you think there's more going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing? It's easy to speculate when celebrities are involved. Some fans believe that any silence must mean drama. Maybe they had a falling out? Maybe there's tension we don't know about? But that's the thing about public perception. Silence isn't always shady. In fact, it can be strategic. And sometimes, silence is just peace. Friendship without expectations. Support without needing to make it public. Let's look at their track record for a second. Blake and Taylor have been friends for years. They've been spotted vacationing together, attending events, and celebrating each other's birthdays. Taylor even used the names of Blake's daughters, James, Inez, and Betty, in her songs, which, let's be honest, is not something you do unless the bond is real. That's deep trust. That's personal. That's permanent. So maybe there isn't anything suspicious about Taylor not promoting Betty Buzz. Maybe it's just two powerful women choosing to support each other in quieter, more intentional ways. And what if the friendship itself is the support system? What if Blake knows that Taylor would help if she ever truly needed it, but wants to prove to herself and the world that she doesn't have to ask? That brings us back to the idea of sustainable branding. In a world where everyone is shouting louder, flashing names, and chasing the algorithm, Blake is doing something a little different, a little quieter, but maybe a lot smarter. She's letting Betty Buzz develop its own voice, its own personality. It's not just a celebrity drink, it's a lifestyle brand. Fitting seamlessly into the home bar carts, brunches, and gatherings of people who appreciate elegance without excess. The soft, minimal packaging, the thoughtful flavor profiles. It's all very Blake. It's refined. And that's why it works. And look, maybe the most powerful flex in the world is not using the most famous name in your context list to push your product. Now let's not forget the cultural context here. We're in an era where audiences crave realness. People are tired of over-marketed products with no soul. They want brands with stories, with heart. That's where Blake wins. She's creating a narrative. She's showing, not telling. And that's a powerful form of branding. Think about how you feel when a celebrity suddenly launches a product, and within 24 hours it's all over your feed, backed by influencers, promos, and paid partnerships. Sure, it grabs attention. But do you trust it? Or do you roll your eyes and wonder how much of it is genuine? Blake seems to be going for the opposite. No flashy campaign. No celebrity endorsements. Just a beautiful product, quietly growing its community. And maybe, just maybe, that's what we need more of. So what do you think? Do you think Blake Lively is redefining what it means to launch a celebrity brand in 2025? Is this a genius move rooted in patience, confidence, and strategy? Or do you think there's another layer we haven't uncovered yet? Let us know in the comments below. We seriously love reading your takes, and this one is sure to get people talking. The friendship, the business decisions, the silence, it's got all the ingredients of a truly modern celebrity story. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the quiet brilliance of Blake Lively's branding strategy, you're going to want to stick around for our next one. Up next, we're breaking down Selena Gomez, and why her silence around Hailey Bieber might actually speak louder than any Instagram post or interview ever could. It's a story about boundaries, grace, and why saying nothing at all can sometimes be the strongest message of all. You don't want to miss it. Before you go, if this video got you thinking, even just a little, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps our channel reach more people who love thoughtful content about the stories behind the headlines. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. We've got a lot more where this came from. Celebrity deep dives, brand analysis, and the untold truths behind Hollywood's biggest moves. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.